Hi, I'm Lance with Ultimate Canine, and last week we did a video on GIARDIA, which we're going to remove and we're going to make it more broad. We're going to talk about diarrhea. What happens when my dog gets diarrhea? Why does my dog get diarrhea? So the reason I'm changing this video is because the last video was there's so much about that whole process to know what it is that I figured we need to cover it more in depth. So one reason that your dog can get diarrhea to start is just eating bad food. Low quality food with a lot of filler and a lot of other stuff can cause your dog to have diarrhea, and that can be a problem. Also, overfeeding your dog can cause diarrhea. I know with my dogs, it's about 1.5 cups. If I feed them over 2 cups, they're going to get diarrhea, and I don't know why that is, but that's what typically happens. So overfeeding can cause diarrhea, pretty substantial diarrhea too, and it can make you think your dog's really sick or whatever. So you just want to watch that and maintain. That's why I don't free feed. I always measure and feed. Parasites. There's a lot of parasites out there that can cause diarrhea. You have Giardia, you have Coccidia, you also have worms, hookworms, tapeworms. All of those things can really upset your dog's digestive system, and they need to be treated. And typically it's best to take your dog to the vet unless you 100% know how to do it on your own and you know what's causing the diarrhea. So typically when a dog has tapeworms, the segments will break up and you can find them coming out in the stool. Same with hookworms and some other worms. Worms are disgusting and they're highly, highly contagious. So you have to clean up after your dog. You have to I bleach the stool, the area the stool was in. I am OCD about it because some of that stuff can live in the soil for a long time and then you just recontaminate your dog. So worms are atrocious, and I really highly am over the top with anything that's infected with that. Really work hard to get that taken care of right away. Otherwise, it's just going to keep coming back because some of that stuff can live in the soil for a super long time or reside in water sources. A big thing we see is stress. So if a dog doesn't understand stress can cause diarrhea, and usually in dogs that have diarrhea due to stress, there's usually a little bit of blood in it, which can be super concerning. So you have to know your dog, know the situation that your dog's in, and it can be something super simple. If the dog is really scared of other dogs and sees another dog on a walk, that can cause some diarrhea with some blood in it, which is a big problem. So you have a few options there. You can teach the dog how to deal with the stress. You can work the dog through the stress, create confidence in the dog through training and obedience and just good environmental handling, and that should help the dog understand and deal and cope with that stress better and be better about it. On another note, there's some very serious illnesses that can lead to diarrhea. You have parvo, you have kidney and liver disease, and those are super serious, and left untreated, they can kill your dog. That's why, unless you know 100% what's going on with your dog, or you try to self-treat and it's not going well after 2 or 3 days, sometimes that can even be too long. You need to get your dog to the vet, and you need to take a stool sample or any type of sample you can manage to get together to take to your vet. You need to take into account what's going on with the dog. Are they lethargic? Are they tired? Are they not eating? What other cues are they giving you to help the vet best diagnose the sickness in the dog? And some of these things can be really quick. The dog can be great one day, the next day they have the diarrhea, the next day they're super dehydrated because they're not taking in enough water because of the diarrhea, which can cause life-threatening conditions. So I always try to tell people to err on the side of caution. Some other things, food allergies can cause diarrhea. I read a while ago that chicken and beef are the ingredients in food that dogs become the most allergic to over time. Not 100% if that's still true, but that's what I read, and that's what I'm sticking with. So I always vary my dog's food sources up. Like on another video I posted, I feed Taste of the Wild, and they have a whole bunch of different flavors, and I just switch them up quite often actually. Every time I buy food, I buy 2 bags, and then the next 2 bags will be something different, and then the next 2 bags will be something different. So I'm trying to give them a little bit of variety there, so hopefully their body doesn't build up allergies and I haven't had any problems since I've been feeding Taste of the Wild. I know I did have some problems on some food previous to that, but that's for a different day. Bacterial infections can also cause diarrhea. Salmonella poisoning, it's very common in people too. And there's some other bacteria, but it's diarrhea. It's going to be stress-based. Can be the number one thing with diarrhea is the amount of dehydration your dog can get from it. And that's what becomes so life-threatening, because your dog may not want to drink. That's the problem. If they don't want to drink, they're super dehydrated. They're just getting more and more dehydrated. And by the time that their tummy still feels bad, so they may not want to drink and they may be hurting themselves. That's why the vet is important at that point. You have to just see, my dog's not drinking, he's got diarrhea, he's not drinking, he's still got diarrhea, he's not drinking, he's trying to go to the bathroom, nothing's coming out. Like, when is the point to take the dog to the vet? The last one I'm going to cover, people feeding. When you feed a dog something other than the regular diet, they get diarrhea, typically. Their system has been, shocked with a different food, especially if it's like some sugary stuff or some really bad stuff they're not supposed to have. They get on the table, they eat a smorgasbord of garbage. Typically, they have diarrhea for 2 or 3 days. So there's a lot of reasons for diarrhea. Some are more life-threatening than others. You just have to really pay attention to what you think might have happened with the dog. If you saw the dog, he drank some pond water, and 2 days later he's got diarrhea, it's very likely that the dog has GIARDIA or some sort of other bacterial or parasitic infection. And then you can either take to the vet or self-treat on your own. So you just the more you know, the better it is. And if you just take the dog to the vet with diarrhea, you're not giving them a lot of information either. So you want to give as much information as possible to the cause of the diarrhea and what you may think is causing it. I took the dog hiking, I took the dog here, the dog got on my table, ate a whole bunch of food. All that stuff is really going to, help get the proper diagnosis. Some things I recommend for diarrhea, if you know it's stress related or it's from, eating people food, you can feed the dog just a bland diet, chicken and rice. You can mix some canned pumpkin in there, do that for a day or two. If that's not helping out, boom, vet, right? Make sure the dog's really well hydrated. If you know how to self-treat for those things, you can try that. Some people recommend a 24-hour reset where you don't feed the dog for a decent amount of time, 12 to 24 hours or 18 to 24 hours, and that will reset the dog's tummy too, sometimes like a computer reset. It's all a time game, but you want to make sure that the dog stays hydrated, number one thing, and collect as much information as possible. We appreciate you watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Appreciate it. See you on the next one.